and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the DJ Force X podcast. I have a very special guest, award-winning stand-up comedian, podcaster, radio presenter. I have Mr. James Barr. Welcome to the show.
Hi, so good to be here. What are awards though? They're meaningless.
Yeah,
So
I've never won one for any of my outlets. This thing is 300 episodes big now, and not one. I got nominated. Don't get me wrong.
you aren't sleeping with the right people.
No, this is the thing. And
Mm,
yeah,
I
my
think
my
that might be the problem there.
yeah, my partner will frown on
Look, they are unattractive, but honestly, if you want the gongs, you gotta suck
it.
the dong.
Yep, that's the rhyme. um, maybe one day we'll find out and see how I can stoop to whatever level I need to get where I want to go.
Absolutely.
So, but what an introduction! Thank you, James. So yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for spending your bank holiday Monday afternoon with me. I know the weather isn't spectacular like it has been over the past week, but yeah,
It is cold.
it
I
is.
think quite chilly. I almost put the heating back on.
Yeah, I went out yesterday, last night, and I went out t-shirt, shorts, like, casual because I was DJing, and I thought it was gonna be really warm in the venue, fucking freezing, and I just sat outside the venue like it's really cold. But
Yeah,
thankfully, it didn't catch.
I would say it's abusive, to be honest.
Yeah,
Going from heat to cold that quickly is not fun.
no, no, it plays havoc with most of my body, so it's sort of the knees go first, as always,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
And then you start catching like a spring cold or something, and your nose starts going,
Yeah.
all that kind of
It's
stuff. But
that's going to happen, isn't it? Definitely. Yeah,
absolutely,
it's Katy Perry weather, hot and cold, and
yeah,
she is not cool anymore. So
he's not.
very awkward.
Quickly that turns. You'd think going into space would be kind of cool.
No one thought going into space was cool.
No, this is true. This is true. Unless, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying.
But I'm happy for her. She seems happy, and I think
Oh
that's the
yeah,
most thing.
that's it. You can't yuck someone else's yum, as my kids would say.
Love that. That's a great rhyme.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of living by that at the moment.
Yeah,
It seems to be working.
that's better than you've got to suck. If you want the gongs, you've got to suck the dongs. I
Yeah,
think I prefer yours.
yeah, yeah. Well, see, it's two. You see, two sides of the spectrum on there. So, but yes, we're here today to talk about you're currently on tour, in fact, with your current stand-up show. Sorry, I hurt your son. Said my ex to my mum.
The
It's the
title.
show. Sounds kind of heavy title on there for a stand-up comedy show, but no, let's have a chat about it. Like I mean, I love stand-up comedy and all its guises. I've watched like ones that kind of very silly, slapstick, as you will, but also very kind of like poignant and I'd say serious comedy. Like
I mean, mine doesn't have any slapstick humor, but there is some slapping, and there's no physical comedy, but the jokes are about physical altercation.
yes. So you see how these cross the genres cross there. I like that.
Right, exactly. So I do think you're going to love it. I think it's your
Yeah, I
cup.
mean, I do look forward to seeing it. I want to try and catch it either this time round or if you continue going through with it. I'm just looking at the tour dates now, which we'll go through in a bit, but there's not really any near me. Um,
Oh, where are you? What's your
uh,
postcode?
it's Surrey, in Surrey.
Sorry. Yeah, there will be a London date to be announced
Okay.
shortly.
Okay.
So hopefully I can get you to that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. London is a gettable place for me, so that's very good. But yeah, like I say, you're off on tour at the moment with this show. And yeah, like you've kind of turned in basically a very heavy experience that you've had being domestic abuse within a relationship that you had, and you've turned it into this comedy show. Um, how do you go about doing something like that? Obviously, I know there's always that kind of like trying to look on the kind of not lighter side of life, but kind of I guess it's like a third. Like whenever something dark happens to me, I tend to bring out humor as well.
Yeah,
So it's that kind
I
of
think that's
reflex.
so normal for all of us.
Yeah.
Literally, like even as far back as the Titanic, people that survived it used to make jokes about it. They would make jokes about their trauma.
That is very true. Yeah.
And I guess things were quite traumatic for them. They did have to watch all of those third class poppers drowning. So they used to make a lot of jokes about their experiences. And honestly, I just think that's what we do as humans. I mean, partly it's minimizing, but at the same time, whatever helps. We've got to get through some pretty painful things as we navigate our time on Earth. And so that's really where it came from. But at the same time, I did feel like comedy, and I guess you'll understand this as you watch a lot of it. I did feel like it was kind of abusive. I kept going to comedy shows recently after I'd broken up with my ex. And I think when you've been abused or you've been in an abusive situation, you really start to see red flags a lot more clearly, and you really see lies. And I was getting triggered all over the place. I was getting triggered by marketing. I was getting triggered by Wagamama, to be honest with you. I was so angry that they deliver the dishes at different times, because when you order it on Deliveroo or another app, it all arrives at the same time. So
Yeah.
they have the capacity to deliver your meals to you at the same time when you're not in the restaurant. Why are they not doing that in the restaurant?
Yeah.
They don't send 7 different drivers to drop off your noodles at different times. So things like that were triggering me. And I was watching a lot of stand up, of course, because I'm a comedian. And not only could I not talk about what I'd gone through on stage, because it's just not the kind of thing you can casually throw into a set, but I was watching comedians and they were lying. And obviously, that's part of it. You tell
Yeah.
a story and you twist it so that it's funnier. But I just kept seeing through these lies, and I could see the patterns of abuse and gaslighting um, in loads of different comedy shows. And it was frustrating because I have actually experienced domestic abuse and I can't joke about it. And yet there were some Netflix specials with people making jokes about domestic abuse. And they were punching down on the victim. So I was very angry, and I decided that actually stand-up comedy is the right place to talk about domestic abuse, because it's already using some of the same tools that we see in abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can totally see that. I mean, that must have been horrible in that respect. Like, just sort of everything kind of like catching you, and especially with like, um, a profession that you're involved in. Like, and you suddenly realize, like, it's you always see it, clearest after the storm kind of thing. So it's like, you're right. After a traumatic event, sometimes you can see these things, you can get triggered by what before would see something potentially, I guess, meaningless or fly by or whatever in like material that comedians are putting, or anyone's putting out. Fucking Wagamama, you know,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
does
listen,
annoy
I'm
me
not saying
actually.
like watching Michael McIntyre, I didn't feel abused as such.
Yeah,
But you can see it in the joke writing. If you deconstruct things, I started to see patterns that I felt were using the same tricks
yeah,
as abuse, I think. And it was just such an interesting mirror, because we're all complicit in it. We're all sat there, we're all laughing, we're all enjoying it, and we've bought a ticket, but we're also being lied to. And then in my show in particular, I would never I've been really careful not to describe it or make it ever feel like trauma dumping. I think it's funny consistently all the way through.
yeah,
But certainly at times when I started doing it, there was more tension and more pathos, and so I did feel like I was mirroring abuse, because I was making the audience feel uncomfortable, but then making them feel good again.
yeah,
And that was just so similar to abuse. So yeah, just it felt like, despite everyone telling me you shouldn't really be doing stand-up comedy about domestic abuse, that's offensive, I decided it was the right place to do it. And also, I love offensive.
yeah.
Being
Offensive.
offensive is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's something that we're like, I don't know. I don't want to get into an old man thing here, but it's something that the youth of today,
I don't
generally.
think that's true. I don't think that is true. I mean, being offensive and deliberately punching down or attacking communities, I think they're two different things. I want to be offensive, and that I want to offend the wrong people. No, the right people. Whereas I think other comedy is deliberately used to continue punching down on marginalized members of society,
Yeah,
which is so lazy.
yeah,
And we should be punching up and offending the people in power.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely, and it sort of it goes for the bigger, like the bigger amount, like it supposedly feels like it's representing the larger amount of people punching down on like
Yeah, and so when I say like I
the
like being
community.
offensive, I definitely want to annoy people and make a statement. But I don't think that younger audiences are like, you hear that a lot. I mean, I know I didn't let you finish your sentence, but
Oh
you
no,
hear
it's,
you hear people say a lot like, oh, the youth of today, they can't laugh at anything, or comedy's cancelled. But I mean, that's literally bullshit. Like Elon Musk, your comedy is not cancelled. It's just that you're not funny. That's why you feel like comedy's it's just that you're not funny.
Yeah, this is true.
Maybe just be a better joke writer.
Yeah, very true. um, and like you say, yeah, that phrase, you're right. Like when I said youth today, it's not really that, because I remember back when I was younger, and people like, I don't know if you're aware of Mary Whitehouse. I mean, there was a show called the Mary Whitehouse Experience, which was a comedy show, but there was this lady who used to complain about everything, used to write into various things and complain about all these things. Um,
Did
uh,
she invent the woodshed?
maybe, I think so, something to do with that. Yeah. But
Which
yeah,
is
no,
almost irrelevant now because the internet doesn't have a watershed.
doesn't at all. Very
So
helpful. Zero barriers.
people could be
So,
watching this at 8 a.m. on the school run.
yep, they could be. They could be, yeah, anytime. Yeah. So
And a
we're
big
at
hello to
24
all of
hours.
those cunts listening right now. I hope you have a great day.
Especially on that fucking school run. I've only got a few more months left for my school runs with my kid. So, and then they're off to college, so they can then they can take the bus at that
Yeah,
point.
fuck you. Get the bus.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to tell her that on the last day, which is a few weeks away actually, which is kind of nice. But yeah, no, obviously, like obviously taking this sort of topic on the road, if you will, from that stance as well. I mean, I've like, especially within the like you said, I think one of the statistics is the domestic abuse rates are higher in the like LGBTQ plus like communities in that respect. It's like compared, I think it was, I haven't got it in front of me, but it was like 5 or 6% compared to four, I think, in sort of.
I think a good shorthand is that like I think last year it was almost double. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
quite as bad as that now, but it was almost double the amount of straight people affected
yeah,
by it. But it's 1 in 4 women, straight
yeah,
heterosexual women, and it's, I think, 1 in 4 queer people. So that's pretty bad. I mean, I wouldn't say either group, women or gays, have it worse. I just think that it is happening, and so it needs to be talked about. But
yeah,
as I said in my show, it's 1 in 4, but the other three are fine. They're a brunch. The other gays are doing all right. So focus on the positives. But it is widespread and it's happening a lot to a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. No, it is. I mean, I've got friends within the LGBTQ community, and one of them in particular is I'm not going to name names because they're still going through everything, but they're going through a lot. They've been through a couple of partners now that have kind of have abused them mentally and physically and things like that. And they're quite vocal on it as well. So this is why I sort of know more about it.
That's really good that they're vocal. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hate it when people say sorry to me, so I'm not sure why that is the immediate response. But it's good that they're talking about it
Yeah,
and
no, that's the thing. I mean,
they,
they're not obviously not happy about it. In the respect to the way they're being treated by the authorities and things like that as well, because they're having trouble with being able to report it. And sort of like getting the police to kind of follow up or even push for charges, even though there's evidence and things like that. And I think like they feel a bit more marginalized because they're trans as well. So they kind of they don't feel like they're getting the full amount of support that.
I think it's way higher for trans people. I'm pretty sure it's 1 in 7 or something. No, that's lower. Sorry, I got that wrong. It is, my maths is terrible, but it is considerably higher. If I dug into my files, I could find you the exact figure.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's obviously awful.
no, it is. It's totally, and you can do, obviously. I support them in everything. I'll make sure, I'll talk to them, make sure they're okay, because they do go through ups and downs, obviously, with it. But yeah, no, I've noticed it more within in those sort of like circles, obviously, unless other people are being more silent about it in that respect. But growing up myself in a household where the partners weren't exactly, no, they were abusive to each other. So, growing up in the household, it's not nice. Like as a kid, going through that, and I've never wanted to reflect that on any of my partners that I've had over the amount of years that I've been sort of in that field. But yeah, it's a tough subject to like even from like someone watching on like from a kid's perspective. Like at the time you're kind of just scared and you don't know, but later on you realize what like, it has a name and it has like, all that kind of stuff. And I was on the at-risk register and all that when I was much younger back in the 80s. And things like that.
Nice to be seen.
Sorry.
So good to be on the register.
Oh yeah, totally. Um, it's in my medical file and everything. It's crazy. But yeah, no, it's just like, seeing it, and it's such a big issue still. Like, I mean, I get, there isn't a quick fix for it in that respect, but there's got to be more protection for people or more ways for people to kind of, report it and then feel safe. Because a lot of times it goes reported. I don't know if you went through this or it gets reported and then it still continues to happen. Because no one does anything or no one can do anything or something
Yeah,
prevent.
that feels massively heavy to get into. I feel as though, yeah, I'm like, I have no jokes here.
Oh.
You have opened a door. It, yeah, it's outrageous. You know, we're silenced a lot. I think that I'm very lucky that I'm able to talk about it.
Yes.
Um, who knows for how
Yeah.
long?
Well,
But
it's such a big platform as well. I mean, stand-up comedy is like, I mean, you're in it. You're like I've watched it from the sidelines for so many years. I used to put on shows many years ago, in my in my town where I used to live, and having all walks of comedian come through, um, and then
well,
see,
definitely the hardest thing I've ever done is turning this into something funny and
yeah,
being able to laugh at it and heal through the pain. But I just never want to like. I think the best way to get over the past is to live in the future and accept what you've experienced.
yeah, yeah,
So sort of why I'm doing it. But I think touching on what you said, it's enormously difficult to get out of it and to get through it and to deal with it because you're blaming yourself and no one wants to talk to you about it and you're not allowed to talk about it because you have to protect the person that abused you. A, because you still love them in many cases, and B, because that's sort of what society says we have to do. Because if we talk about it, we'll ruin their life. And of course, we love them. So why would we want to ruin their life? But then also, they did this anyway. They did this, not us. So why are we having to protect them to keep society happy? And I think it's funny if your partner left the toilet seat up, you'd moan about it. If your partner cheated on you, you'd talk to your friends about it. But just because my boyfriend pushed me at the top of the stairs, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
yeah.
That's not really fair, is it?
Oh,
Like if you do something stupid, that's not really on me. That's on you.
yeah,
So it's not my shame. It's not our shame to carry it. We have to give that shame back to maybe not the person, but the world in general for wanting to not hear to like they don't doesn't want to hear this story. That's why so many people are like, why are you doing this show? That title's a bit heavy. Have you told your mum that you're doing this show? Do you think your ex is okay? Have you heard from your ex? What does he think about all of this? What do his parents think about all of this? Why was he so evil? Tell me everything you can possibly tell me about him so I know that this will never happen to me.
yeah,
But it could happen to you because it could happen to anyone.
yeah.
These people aren't inherently evil. Some are, but not all of them.
No,
Some of them are literally your brother, your sister, your best friend, maybe even you, and you don't realize it.
yeah,
And so I want us all to take accountability by talking about it. Because if I'd sat down with my boyfriend to watch a stand-up special where the comedian joked about all of this stuff and talked about trauma in a very accessible way, perhaps we would have found the strength, or he would have found the strength to actually get on top of his trauma rather than getting on top of me and punching me. Sorry, that's not funny.
it's processing the whatever issues they might have. It's finding like the right avenue to process that because we all have issues. We all have like whether it's anger, whether it's I don't know, just issues in general. There's so many.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
and it's up to us. It's up to the person. It's the accountability the person needs to take to to figure that out rather than like taking it out on other people around them. Because taking it out on other people is the instant response for a lot of people, and then because that's then I guess perpetual, not encouraged, perpetuated or whatever. I
Well,
don't.
no, it is. It's perpetuated from the top down. I mean, the government do it all the time,
Yeah.
especially Trump. The whole playbook is just to tell everyone else that they're in the wrong
Yeah.
when actually they're the one that's abusive. So from the top down, that's what we're taught all the time. One of the most meaningful messages I had was when I was performing last summer, and the show was much more raw then and less funny, to be honest. But a gay couple came and they sent me a message saying that it had opened up conversations for them about their trauma, and the show had helped them to realize they needed to make sure they kept each other in check,
Yeah.
so that they would never hurt each other. And I thought that was really powerful because I think that's what I wanted to create,
Yeah.
but I hadn't said it out loud. And so for them to see the show and say that was a moment of alignment.
Nice, nice. That is beautiful because that's kind of, it's what you want from it. It's the message you're giving. It's like it's even though you put it into the context of comedy, it makes it more, palatable for people to take in as well. Like I've listened to so many comedians over the years. Some of them speak utter nonsense, others speak total sense, and it's just sort of how you interpret that. But when you get something that helps you, and it's the same with music because a lot of like this podcast, in fact, I mainly have musicians on. That's my sort of my area of the entertainment industry, if you will. But and music and healing with music and stuff as well, like people relating to stuff, whether it's not, maybe it's not meant to be that way for the person that wrote it, but someone listening to it took it a different way, and it helped them. It got them through stuff. I mean, music's got me through so many things, but it's the same sort of thing with comedy. Like comedy's got me. I remember like all these good times, like going to like these shows and comedy shows, and just sort of being able to kind of forget the world for that half an hour, 2 hours, wherever, however long the show is, um, and seeing some, funny people, and I've only witnessed a couple of people bomb in my time, which is fun because it's like I haven't seen anyone really, really crash and burn. But one day I might. I mean, I gave it a go once, and it's not for me. I'll stick with DJing. So, but you are on tour. Let's get on to the tour now. We've talked about the show now, and we should bring it to because I'm going to put this out before your next show, which is in Manchester.
Yes, on Friday.
Yep,
Sorry, Saturday.
the 10th. Sorry, it's a bank holiday Monday. It's throwing everything off.
I know.
Um, but yeah, you're playing in Manchester at 53-2, or is it 532?
I've been saying 53 too,
Yeah, I think it's 53 to the way it's spelt. I think
but
five.
it could be 50. No, because it's a 5, a 3, and then a 2. So it must be 5, 3. This is so confusing.
It is. Well, anyway, if you look in Manchester, 532 or 553.
JamesBarrComedy.com.
Yeah, yeah, jamesparkcomedy.com. It's all tickets are on there as well. But you're going to Leeds as well, playing the Pyramid there. Then you're going to be in Nottingham, and then Plymouth, Weston-super-Mare, and then going into June, you're going to be in Hull. I can see there, and it says obviously more dates coming.
And
Uh,
then back to Edinburgh in the summer.
I was going to say you playing Edinburgh this summer, because you're not a stranger to that area, are you? You were there. You were there last, was it a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I did the show there last year.
You did the show last year. That was
So
it.
this is me taking the show back. But it's entirely different because I've rewritten the whole thing from top to bottom. And I feel as though, well, I think most people don't, you're not meant to like take a show back if but I just feel like I wasn't finished with it. So yeah, it's going to be called this until the end of time.
Yeah. Every Netflix special you do in the future will be called.
Every single one. Just this show just means too much and is too important to just stop doing because I did it once. And so when I finished Edinburgh, I think I realized that it was the start of the journey, not the end. Which is why I then took it to Australia, which is how this UK tour is happening, and then why I'm back in Edinburgh again. It's not finished, and I don't know when it will be finished. Maybe when it is a special, but until that point, I'm just going to work on it every single day until it's undeniably funny.
Oh, that's amazing. I love the process of comedians like that, because like you get that in kind of the musicians world, like where you start, you got a song, and then like you might start playing live, but eventually it does evolve. Like, and then even after you record it, it still
Yeah.
evolves. after that. Like you get bands playing out these like their big hits, but they've altered it because they're like, we weren't finished with it when we recorded it. So we we don't want to play it that way anymore. We want to do it this way. I love that with comedy and how it crosses over. I think it's part of one of my like infatuations with stand-up comedy in that respect because it does fall into that the same realm as a touring musician.
I
Um,
do think they're similar. I was going to say a second ago. I mean, I used to DJ in clubs all the time, and I do think performing as a DJ in a club or in a festival is not that different to being a stand-up comedian. I mean, they're obviously considerably different, but you are doing a set
yeah,
and you are making people feel something
yeah,
and you're riding the wave of a crowd.
yeah,
They are very similar. I'm jealous of musicians in that when they sing a song about abuse, they can be a lot less specific
yeah,
than a stand-up comedian. And
yeah,
so when I listen to Taylor Swift, for example, I think she talks to me in a way I hadn't heard previously when I listened to her music. Um, it definitely like hits different, um, and it's frustrating as a comedian in this sense, just because I knew I had to try and be as specific as possible whilst also completely erasing the identity of my ex.
yeah.
And in a song, you can argue that it's not necessarily real. You can say it's made up. I mean, I guess I could say this was made up as well. Maybe I should be doing that legally.
Maybe, unless you are naming names and specifics, but but you're right. Taylor Swift, they leave it to the fans to kind of figure out who it's about. So there's always like I can't remember was that song she did. It was like 10 minutes long. I think it was about Liam.
Oh, all too well.
That was it. Yeah, it was about Liam Hemsworth, I believe. Back then, my kids are more of an authority on Taylor Swift than I. Um, but I watched the SNL version she did, and it was like 10 minutes long about.
Yeah. I think there's a 14-minute longer. I'm sure that there's a version of it longer than Katy Perry went to space for.
Yes. Yeah, I believe that's the song they listen to on the way up and way down. But yeah, no, but no, yeah, definitely with the like with music and being a like formerly in a band as well, like having that writing stuff, you can be as vague, or you can be as specific, but for sort of like I think for longevity reasons with music, you have this kind of mentality of a timeless element to it. So if you make it too specific, it dates it to a
Yeah.
specific point. Um, Whereas if you make it vague, it can still live through decades potentially. I mean, look at some of those massive songs from back in sort of 70s, 80s. They're still being on radio. I mean, you're in radio now. I'm guaranteed. I don't know if you now you're on hits radio, aren't you? So you'll be playing. Yeah, you'll be playing like sort of like is it more modern stuff that you play on the radio, or is it like top
It's
40? Like
biggest hits and throwbacks, but the
throwback. That's what I'm
throwbacks
looking at.
aren't really all the way back to the 80s. They're more, I guess, 90s perhaps, but more so noughties.
Yes. I was like, well, that's still 20 years ago. Oh. Um, sorry, everyone. Um, but yeah, no, that's like it's I went to the 80s because that's what I deem as sort of the classic era. Um, because that's when I was a young kid. Um, and obviously anything before that is, my parents' era. So it was like, yeah. So I don't think it was like 40 years ago. So it's just kind of thrown me. I've thrown myself. I'm gonna say you throw me. I've thrown myself. Um, but yeah, I mean, you also just to sort of give you like all the sort of like plugging everything you do. You do the Hits Radio Breakfast Show.
I
It's
do.
fantastic. And you also have a podcast called A Gay and a Non-Gay, award-winning podcast, I should say. That's hark back to the beginning there with the award-winning part. Um, but with that, like with the radio side of things, I mean, I used to do a bit of radio for a rock station based in London. And always enjoyed doing that. I mean, with the sort of, is it a lot? It's obviously a live show you do every morning with them.
Yeah, it's live. Yeah, it's a breakfast show, so it's very fast moving, upbeat, friendly, family friendly. Um,
How'd you find that?
which bit?
Everything, like being up early.
Oh, being up early is horrendous for the first half an hour, and then it's pretty good to be honest. I quite like the structure of it. I like getting up, feeling positive, even if I don't want to. There's something in that that feels good. And I think it's a massive privilege to be able to start people's day
Nice.
and help them feel good.
Nice. That's fantastic. I love that. And obviously the podcast we mentioned just then, people can go listen to that as well. Like I said, it's called A Gay and a Non-Gay, and it is one of the biggest sort of, I'd say one of the biggest sort of podcasts of that sort of genre as well, like sort of that general
Yeah,
relationship.
it's a pretty niche genre, gay and non-gay
Yeah.
people hanging out. So in that specific genre, I think it's
Yeah.
doing well.
No, it's not. I listened to a couple of episodes. It was good. It was good. Enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
And yeah, I've got a couple of questions left for you, and I can let you get back to your bank holiday Monday evening, if I may. But these are
I'm
sort of my
literally
generic.
going to bed ready for the breakfast show tomorrow morning.
Gonna
So
say you've
fire
got,
away.
but I've got these are sort of my general generic ending questions I have for this show.
Okay.
And it's sort of catered towards the music side of things. So I hope you're a fan of music. Um, but if I could get pretend
Yeah.
this could be quite an easy question, or it could be quite a daunting question.
Okay. I think I'm going to do really well.
Okay, cool. So what I want to know are your three most pivotal records, like or songs. So it could be like a song that sort of you heard when you were younger and it sort of changed your life. I'm looking for those change your life songs, not necessarily your favorite albums or anything like that, like top three or
Can I
anything like that.
choose? Can I choose three songs that are pivotal for the journey of the show that I've been on?
Yeah, yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Because the healing process that I've been on is just so chaotic that I can instantly think of at least two
Okay,
to
cool.
answer the question. So the first one would be an 80s song, Go West, King of Wishful Thinking. I
Nice.
think I heard that song. It was probably one of the first songs that put a smile on my face and told me that I was going to be okay. Because the lyrics are, I'll get over you. I know I will. So that song has been awesome. I've had that on repeat a lot. Also, Taylor Swift, Bejeweled.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if you know that song.
I
I
do know
know that you
the song.
will, and I love that too because again, it's a feeling of like I miss you, but I'm amazing. I'm bejeweled. So I really needed that song. Um, and then the third song, more recently, that I've chosen when I've been listening to music pre-show, is Donna Lewis. I love you always forever,
Okay.
but not in a sort of Whitney Houston. I love my ex way. I've just been listening to that in a sort of self-love way,
Okay.
and the lyrics to that are really powerful because it's telling you that, well, it tells me that I love myself and that I always will, and I'm choosing the right journey. So those are the three like top of mind songs.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that because it's like it obviously it goes as you show, but you can actually pinpoint those moments of when you like have those songs on and how they, obviously how they make you feel at that point. Um, and yeah, if they're your healing songs, fantastic. I had my healing songs. I've gone through breakups in the past and things like that. And yeah, no, fantastic. And my kids will love the fact that Taylor Swift gets mentioned on this show multiple times.
Way more than I realized, but I think she's been quite. Yeah, her music has been very important to me in the
Nice.
last couple of years.
Excellent. Excellent. But final question for you, James. What are your hobbies? So away from stand up,
Oh my God, stop. Don't ask me that. That's the most horrendous question you could ever ask someone.
is it?
Yeah, I was having a full breakdown about this with another comedian friend of mine the other day, and
Okay.
we were both talking to each other, and then we were like, we don't have any hobbies. Are we not complete people? Like, are we not real people? Because I don't have any hobbies. My
No.
hobbies are just,
Okay.
I mean, these are my hobbies.
Okay.
What's a hobby?
Uh, it's the pastime. It's just pastime.
But comedy is a hobby, really.
Okay.
Um, and working out, is that a hobby? Not really.
A lot of people say working out, gym,
I
hiking,
feel like a
things like
hobby to
that.
me. A hobby feels like collecting stamps or doing a podcast, which I also do.
You do.
Um, but all of it just feel, all my hobbies feel like my work. I don't feel like I have any. I like swimming, but is that a hobby?
That could be
Um,
a hobby. You're not doing it professionally, are you?
Not yet.
Yeah. Don't really want to.
Maybe I'll be the first comedian to perform underwater.
Yeah. Yeah, you can try that.
Um, I don't know if I have any interesting hobbies. I love bridges.
Okay. Okay.
Ask me my favorite bridge,
What is your favorite bridge?
the Oresund Bridge
The or
between Denmark and Sweden.
Okay.
It's a bridge and a tunnel. There's an island in the middle of the sea, and the bridge turns into a tunnel halfway through. I
Oh wow. You see,
That's cool.
I've learned something. That is cool. I've learned something now.
Think it's the Oresund. Hang on. Yes, of course it is. I know my bridges.
That's okay. That is a hobby.
I don't know why I doubted myself.
No, I was gonna say you've got one right there. A comedian, that will be your like, when you're out traveling the UK, traveling obviously Australia, you make it anywhere else in Europe, you can spot those bridges and just have
Honestly, if I was really famous, you bet I would have a Channel 5 show called James Barr
bridges. Bridges,
Bridges.
bridges to James Barr.
Bridges to James Barr.
There you go.
Perfect.
I look forward to
Bridges
that.
over troubled water. No, I think your title was better.
It's still a work in progress, but we can get there. When we'll workshop it and we'll do that. Um,
Listen,
but
if you want
James,
to come on board as a producer, you know where I am.
yes, yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I'll do some research on bridges and see if we can. Got to be better than those walking documentaries. So,
Right? Yeah. Walk the plank, Julia Bradbury.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Take a long walk off a short bridge. Um, yes, James, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate this. Good luck with your shows. I hope to come and catch you when you're in London.
I can't wait to see you.
I'll keep
Thanks so much.
Oh, no problem at all. Absolutely my pleasure. And yeah, like I say, I look forward to seeing it. Hopefully, I'll keep an eye on it. I get obviously mail shots and stuff. So, I'll see if I can get into London on those particular days. Is it a run of shows you're doing in London, or is it like a one?
Um,
Do we not know yet?
Honestly, I don't really know yet. I think it will be one date
Okay.
because, yeah, I don't know. But I'm not entirely sure. The plan initially was to do a London show after Edinburgh, but because I'm going to Edinburgh again, I think I need some kind of preview. So this is a very boring answer, but I think there will be a preview in London
Okay.
ahead of Edinburgh. I
Okay.
just think
Cool.
that's to keep performing it basically until I get to Edinburgh. So I'm going to need to add more shows.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. All right. Well, like I said, I hope to catch the show then. And obviously I'll come up and say hi and everything as well.
amazing. Yeah.
But yes, everyone, go check jamesbarcomedy.com. Pick up tickets if you're in any of the areas where he is touring: Manchester, Leeds, Nottingham, Plymouth, Western Superman, Hull, London, Edinburgh Festival as well. Everyone going to the Edinburgh Festival. I'm insanely jealous, but go catch your show, and catch many other people's shows as well.
No,
It's
just mine.
just yours.
Yeah, just mine. Yeah, just
Every
keep
night.
coming back every night. Yeah.
See
The
how
whole
it
time.
changes every night. Um,
Yeah. Thank you
cool.
so much for your time and for
Oh,
having,
thank you.
and thanks to everyone for watching.
Oh, no worries.